notice of this regular meeting of the Board of Adjustment has been.
Put your mic on. Turn the mic.
Mr. Butterbid.
Here.
Chairwoman Graham.
Here?
Mr. Johnson. Mr. McCracken. Mr. Rich.
Here.
Mr. Shepherd.
Here.
Mr. Caldwell. Mr. Rosenthal.
Here.
Mr. Reese. Mr. Gallo.
Here.
Mr. Thomas.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the minutes, the regular minutes of July 7th. Do I have a motion? Don't all holler at once.
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Butterbid.
Yes.
Mr. Rich.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal.
Yes.
Ms. Gallo.
Yes. I have minutes for July 21st. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Ms. Graham.
Yes.
Mr. Rich.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal.
Yes.
Ms. Gallo.
Yes. Okay, I have two resolutions. The first is U.S. Clean Energy, ZBA 16-00004. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Ms. Graham.
Yes.
Mr. Rich.
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal.
Yes.
Ms. Gallo.
Yes. Then, I'm sorry, the next resolution is on Shri, ZBA 15-00019. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Mr. Butterbid.
Yes.
Ms. Graham.
Yes.
Mr. Rich.
Yes.
That's it. Madam Chairman, we have another resolution, the Potasnik resolution, that we can do at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
We put it in front of you tonight because they need some DRCC approval that we can't do until, so if we want to do that at the end of the meeting, sometime during the meeting, you get a chance to
Okay,
review
if
it.
we have a break, then we'll have a chance to
Yes.
read it and
Yeah,
do it
and then we can
immediately
vote
after the
at some other
break.
time.
So, we'll put that one aside.
All right, the next item are vouchers for Mr. Bradshaw. Can we do all of these at once?
Yes.
Okay. The August and September retainers, $1,730. DeSapio, $227.50. PJ Kavanaugh's, $262.50. And Shamshare, $245.
I move that we pay.
You can do it by
A
affirmation.
second?
Second.
You can do all in favor.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Well, next is St. Peter's Health Care System.
Let's carry the two. Do we have to carry McBride?
Oh, right.
Right,
So just-
okay. I'm sorry, I'm looking
These two are.
at the preliminary.
Yeah, we have the final agenda. Yeah, final
Okay.
agenda.
Yeah. Ron and Yvonne McBride, ZBA 16-00030 is carried to October 20, and no further notification is needed. So if anybody's here for that, we're not hearing it tonight. And then Elite Preparatory Academy, ZBA 16-00013 is being carried to November 3rd. Again, no notification is needed. Okay, now, St. Peter's.
Good evening. My name is Sandy Galatio, an attorney with Windell's, Lawrence Lane, and Mittendorf. We're here representing St. Peter's Healthcare System Physicians Associates, PC, which is an affiliate of St. Peter's University Hospital in New Brunswick. This is in connection with sign variance application for a location at 59 Veronica Avenue, which is block 88.02, lot 78. St. Peter's is a tenant at that location on the second floor, and they'd like to install a facade sign facing the road. The sign dimensions exceed some of the maximum permitted under your ordinance. identified three areas where that is the case. For multiple tenants in the building, and St. Peter's is the second tenant in the building.
Is your mic on? Is your mic on?
I think so.
No.
Tap it to see if it, no.
This one's on. Neither one of these are on.
You gotta have the magic thumb.
There's two switches, actually. On the,
Yeah, one's covered, and the other one is,
All right, someone will assist you. Why are these microphones so difficult to operate?
thank you. Is that better?
Yes,
Great.
very good.
There's an existing two-story medical building at the location now. The owner of the building occupies the first floor, and St. Peter's is on the second floor. There are three areas of the ordinance, of your sign ordinance, that we need relief from. The first is maximum sign area where where it's allowed 5 square feet per tenant. We're proposing 50.5 square feet. Your ordinance prohibits attaching signs on a multi-tenant building above the first floor. These signs we propose to attach on the second floor, or this sign. And the last is the max vertical dimension of 2 feet is permitted. The sign will be at least 4 feet tall. It's probably going to be a 4-foot by 12.5-foot sign. We indicated 3 feet 4 inches in the application, but it's more like 4 feet. We've already received exemption letters from the Somerset County Planning Board and the DNR Canal Commission. I have 2 witnesses here tonight. I'm just going to introduce Robert Mulcahy, who's Director of Facilities for St. Peter's University Hospital. He's available if you have any questions of him for the applicant. And I have our planner, John Chadwick, who's going to provide testimony, planning testimony in support of the application. So I'm going to introduce my first witness, John Chadwick.
all set? You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes,
And your name for the record?
John Chadwick, Chadwick. I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey, have been for some time, and have appeared before this board previously.
Yeah, we know,
I
John.
think that works.
What's your number? I want to know how low that number is.
995.
We reviewed the staff report, and the only thing it asked is to justify the need for the sign, so I'm going to let Mr. Chadwick present his testimony.
First, just put it in context of where this.
John, would you?
Context of where this building is, it's roughly halfway between the intersection with 27 and the bend as you cut back towards Amwell Road. There are a number of different medical arts and businesses and also warehouse businesses along that area. There are several buildings that do have large facade signs on them, much larger than proposed. By my eye, roughly diagonal is Akron, which is a substantial sign on the side of the building, and about 2 buildings to the west of this is another business, Hisco, which has a big red lettered sign across the front of their building.
Speak louder, please.
Has a big red lettered sign across the front of the building. Now, really what you have is this building sits back substantially from the road as compared to other buildings. I think it's appropriate for the signage in terms of coming onto the site and understanding the various uses. If you look at the architectural, though, a 5-foot sign stuck on the facade of this building would be worthless in terms of identification, either from the street, and it would look, in my judgment, much less appealing than the proportionate sign that's shown in the panels on your exhibit. I think the planning solution here is, well, the setback is a detriment in terms of reading a facade sign from the street, so the size, in my judgment, is appropriate, and the size has been made appropriate in terms of proportion to the facade or the panel in which it's attached. in terms of a C2 argument on this. The C2 argument is in terms of the size and scale of these buildings when you look at the proportion of the sign as it's shown versus what is required by ordinance. I think the ordinance really is addressing buildings that have the 10 and 15 and 20 different type of professionals within the buildings, and there are a number of buildings along here that have substantial numbers of tenants. The smaller signs would be appropriate to that kind of a situation, but not large tenants such as this. So I think the circumstances are, it certainly is not in conflict with the developed character of the area. In terms of the scale of the building, it is appropriate in terms of size, and I think it serves the basic public interest in providing good identification for the use. For those who do travel that road, and I do quite often, you invariably have people slowing down, and you can't go on the inside of them. The road is just not wide enough, so you have this break and stop situation. I think these signs will help in terms of finding this location and serve a basic public safety purpose.
Can you identify any detriments associated with this application?
No, and for the reasons I've stated.
And then obviously the requested variance, the benefits of that would substantially outweigh the detriments. There being none of those.
Yeah, again, and as my comments and assessment stated earlier, I think all support that conclusion.
And this variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without substantially impairing the zone plan and zoning ordinance of the township. Is that correct?
Yes, and again, as my comments earlier.
Anybody have any questions?
I have one. Isn't there also going to be a sign at the street level, a standing sign that's going to have the same information on it?
It's there.
What does that mean?
It's, the freestanding sign is on the ground now.
Okay, so,
And it's proportionate to the size. It's, all of the signage, if you're familiar with Veronica, are difficult to read because of their size. The message boards where you have multiple names listed are impossible to read.
yeah, but in this case, we're going to have two tenants in this building's going to have two tenants in it, is that correct?
Yes.
Well, and how big is the sign at the street level going to be?
It's there.
Okay, how big is it?
I think it's 50 square feet. No, it's not that big.
It's smaller than that.
It's much smaller than that. I didn't measure that because it wasn't a variance.
Right.
I
but-
can't tell you. I don't.
Okay, so you can't tell me how big the sign at the street edge is, but there is a street sign, there's a sign there, and the only thing on that sign is the names of the two tenants that are going to be in that building.
That's
Is
correct.
that correct?
That's correct.
Well, is
When
there
you-
some reason that sign can't be read?
When you come up on that sign, the front of the property is heavily landscaped. There's a big parking lot in front of the building. The building sits substantially back on the street.
The ordinance does not, prohibit a facade sign if you already have a freestanding sign.
No, I appreciate
Permitted
that.
to have a freestanding sign. We're just asking for
I-
a larger one.
I appreciate that. The sign at the street level is fine, but the question is, and there was a question that was raised in our planner's report, is why isn't the sign at the street, why isn't that sufficient? I mean, I appreciate the fact that the building's set back, you need a bigger sign to see, but why do you need one at all if there's a sign right at the street level that people can see driving by?
Well, the
And the
owner,
planner hasn't addressed that.
the owner of the building is also going to put up a sign identifying his tenancy in the building. So we don't want to confuse customers to think that they're at the wrong location because there's only one tenant sign on there. So we need to have both signs on the facade of the building so that the customer can make an identification that, yes, St. Peter's is also located in this building.
So in other words, the sign that's at the street isn't going to have St. Peter's name on it?
It does already.
I don't understand then. See, you're not giving me an answer that works with the question I asked. If you have a sign at the street that has the name of both of the tenants on it, why do we need additional signage on the building?
Well, your ordinance allows it.
Yes, but the ordinance allows only a sign that's 5 feet, and you want one that's 50.
Let's step back a second. The ID sign brings you to the site. Hopefully, the driver coming along the roadway will see that sign. But then you enter the site, and you've got a big building and a big parking lot in front, and you want to get those people headed to the correct location within the building and the parking in the front, and the parking on the side, and the parking to the rear. So they serve as a complement to one to the other. They're not duplication, in my judgment.
Plus, you're also, this is a medical office, so you may be dealing with an elderly person who can't see that well and needs to have additional identification for the building to make sure that they arrive at the correct destination. So this is not like a Costco or a sporting goods store or something like that. This is a medical building where we think the additional identification is necessary to make sure that these patients go to the correct destination.
Okay, last question. Will you agree that the signs, as they appear in this rendering, will be what the signs look like when they're actually put up?
I believe that's the final design, correct? Yeah, we're only installing the one, so we can say yes to the one that's for St. Peter's Physicians Associates.
Okay,
That's the final
so if we make that part of the resolution, you're going to be okay with that?
Sure.
Mr. Mulcahy?
I gotta swear him in if I gotta swear him in. Okay, you'll need the microphone. Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Just state your name for the record.
Robert Mulcahy, Mulcahy.
Okay.
We are only here for the one side of the sign. And yes, that will be illuminated sign to that dimension, and that's what we will put up. We've been trying to standardize our signs throughout St. Peter's, so it's very similar to what we have posted at our other locations.
And I guess since you now have the microphone, will the illumination be turned off at some point at night, or?
Yeah, we can. I mean, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, if that needs to happen, we will
It's not a
definitely do that.
residential area.
Right.
I mean, it's,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it
hasn't even been a
No,
thought.
right.
Yeah, it should be okay.
It's a commercial area.
Yeah.
Should be okay. Have they paid the taxes and the hot water bill?
That I don't know. I'm sure it's sitting on my desk, though.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So when you get another tenant, like a third, fourth, and fifth tenant, are they gonna want 2 square foot signs, or are we gonna limit it to 2?
Well, we took 10,000 square feet on the second floor. We have the entire second floor, so we don't intend to sublease or anything. These are all our physicians that are there. This is strictly St. Peter's. I cannot speak for the landlord. I know he has the additional 10,000 square feet right now built out for himself, but for us, no, we will not.
Okay, so there could be future applications for small signs on the first floor.
On the first floor, but that doesn't really involve them.
Right.
We have a
There'll be-
10-year lease here with multiple year options, so we intend, we made a big investment going over here. We intend to stay here.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, any questions? And I think, given the application, questions or comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, public is closed. Discussion? Motion?
I just want clarification. You said it may be 4 feet, but, so just give us that for sure. Max vertical dimension. Is right?
It'll be no larger than the 50.5 square feet we indicated in the application, so it'd be no higher than 4 feet. The width might be around 12 and a half feet, or whatever it would be within the 50.5 square feet.
But the third one says, right now in there, it was 3.33 feet, where 2 feet is permitted. I just want to make sure they give you the right variance. So you want 4 foot.
We want 4, because I think the 3 feet 4 inches is just the lettering.
Okay.
Okay. Discussion, motion?
I move that we grant St. Peter's Healthcare Systems Physicians Associates a variance to erect a sign on the building located at 59 Veronica Avenue, Somerset. The sign will be no greater than 50.5 square feet and will be no wider than 4 feet wide.
No higher.
Okay, higher is probably a better word in this case. No higher than 4 feet. And the sign will look the same as the sign rendering set forth in the application submitted for this variance.
Subject to the payment of taxes, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any seconds?
Second.
Mr. Betterbid?
Yes.
Ms. Kronman?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Ms. Brigala?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next is Raritan Valley Habitat for Humanity.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Good evening, members of Good evening, Madam Chair. Good evening, members of the board, members of your professional staff. My name is Jeff Lehrer, and I'm here this evening on behalf of the Raritan Valley Habitat for Humanity. We're seeking use variance relief in order to construct a ranch-style three-bedroom home on property that is actually owned by the township and identified as lots 6 through 9 in Block 534, and commonly known as 589 Howard Avenue. This home will be built strictly in accordance with the adjacent R10 residential zone bulk requirements. Just a little bit about the presence of Raritan Valley Habitat for Humanity in the area, in this township, actually. Habitat for Humanity has built approximately 18 homes in the township over the past 25 years. My client enjoys a very good relationship with the township in providing low-income housing and for low-income families an opportunity to reside within the township and to become integral parts of the community. Under its most recent agreement with the township, Habitat for Humanity has agreed to build 7 low-income homes in the township by December 31 of 2019. This will be the third of those 7. Let me just give you a little bit of information about how the process works. The township provides the land to build homes at a low cost. Once a building permit is issued, the land is transferred from the township to my client, and volunteers then build the homes within approximately 6 to 9 months, depending upon how many volunteers, and a lot of retirees are part of that process. And all permit and application fees under the agreement with the township are waived as per that agreement. A fixed amount of funds are actually allocated under the terms of that amended agreement for certain hard costs, such as sidewalks and curbing and aprons.
Excuse me, would you be more comfortable sitting down?
I always do my introduction standing up.
Fine, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt, it's just,
The real benefit to the township is that these homes become an integral part of the township's third round affordable housing plan. I actually have two witnesses. The first witness is Tom Fick of Carroll Engineering. He's our civil engineer. And secondly, Richard Brown of Carroll Engineering, who is our planner. I also have Jan Holmstrom, who is the executive director of Raton Valley Habitat for Humanity, in case there's any questions about the qualification process, but I think I touched upon it fairly well. With that said, I'll start with Mr. Fick.
Can I just make one suggestion, which is, well, first of all, everything you said is accurate in that this is part of the township's, helping to meet a township's obligation for affordable housing. One of the sites, when we were going through the different township-owned properties, this was obviously one of the sites that the township had that we offered to Habitat. And basically, our instruction to Habitat was, this is, even though it's zoned corporate business, it's basically within a residential neighborhood. And historically, that was basically in accordance with the R10 zoning district. So what I would suggest is, we know it's a use variance for residential in this corporate business zone. I think perhaps what would be best for the board is if you could explain how, to what degree this plan is consistent with the neighborhood and consistent with the R10 zone.
Let me just qualify, Mr. Fick.
Okay, raise your hand and solemnly swear.
Hold the
affirm
microphone to
to
your.
tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes,
State and spell your last name for me.
sure. Thomas Fick, F-I-K. Last name is F as in Frank, I-K.
Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Fick, can you just provide the board with your educational and professional background, please?
Sure. I am a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey as well as Pennsylvania. I'm also a lead accredited professional. I was licensed in 2005. I received my civil engineering degree from the University of Rhode Island. I've appeared over in front of numerous boards,
that should
including.
do it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fick, did you prepare or supervise the preparation of the plans that have been presented to the board this evening?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You have actually color rendered, I believe, a copy of the variance plan, and if we could just mark that A1. And Mr. Healy had asked if we could just touch upon the requirement for, or the consistency of this proposed dwelling with the R10 criteria.
Not only touch upon, but that's really what we want to hear about.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The property here, as mentioned, is lots 6 through 9. The lot is 10,000 square feet in size, 100 feet frontage along Howard Avenue, and 100 feet deep. We are proposing, we don't have any bulk variances for this project. We believe this lot conforms to the R10 zone.
What's next door?
Next door are residences all around. This block is, all the adjacent properties here are all residences. There are a few lots. The lot exactly to the left here is also a 10,000 square foot lot. There are some smaller lots here which are 50 by 100. This lot here is a double, is actually 20,000 square feet, as is this lot here.
And are there houses on those lots?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
And the proposed house is going to be consistent with the nature of the houses surrounding it?
Yes, I believe they will be. We actually have an architectural too, if you'd like to see that as well.
Show us that.
Sure. This is a typical habitat model. It's a one-story ranch.
These
that we have.
plans, by the way, were submitted as part of the application, so they don't need to be marked.
Right.
This is the typical one-story ranch that Habitat constructs. We believe it's very similar to the style of homes that are in the neighborhood.
When I looked at the floor plans, it looked like there was something of a basement. Is that finished or?
Yeah, we do propose a basement. Currently, we have 2 homes on Churchill Avenue. Both are relatively finished. That's where the laundry services are. We have a finished floor, some sheet rocking, but beyond that, it's just a space for storage and for utilities.
Storage and utility.
Correct.
You would not anticipate it being a living space or designed for living space?
No, we have there's no exit. There's a few windows, but no ingress or egress into the basement.
Thank you.
You mean from inside the house?
No, inside there is, but from the outside.
Okay, right. Can't have a base without somewhere to get in or out, so.
Understood, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Fick, you also you brought another exhibit, I believe, which is a color rendering of the landscape plan. If we could
Yes,
just mark that as A2.
A2, of course.
And just quickly, briefly, just orient the board to the dwelling and what landscaping is proposed.
Sure. This is basically a rendering of the site plan that we submitted. Shows the ranch-style home here with a stone driveway. The lot right now is it's vacant with some grass, some shrubs, and several trees. We're removing 3 trees, and we plan to reduce them. We plan to replace them 1 for 1. Habitat always does some foundation landscaping, and also provides grass, and so we intend to provide some landscaping in the front to soften the front of the house. It's if you drive by Churchill Avenue, you'll see the type of construction that we provide.
Madam Chair, I'm just going to ask Mr. Fick, I've completed the testimony, but I'd just like for him to just cover Mr. Vega's review letter. He raised a number of points, and most of them we can comply with, but there are a couple of them that we're going to ask for waiver because of the financial burden that it would impose upon the property owner and the applicant. We're going to ask for some relief from them. Mr. Fick, why don't you we can comply with basically everything other than what we're going to talk about.
Yes. Starting at number 1, I don't believe that comment applies. Those 2 streets are not within 200 feet of the site. I think that's just a carryover from another application. Number 8, according to the development agreement, fees are waived. That's again, that's part of the development agreement.
Right, there is an agreement with the township that allows all fees to be waived.
Number 14, our intention is to replace the 3 trees that we remove in kind, if possible. So we propose a 1-to-1 tree replacement.
How does, do you know offhand how that differs from the replacement calculation that satisfied the ordinance?
I believe it's 6 trees that are proposed. We remove 3, we'd like to just replace the 3.
They wouldn't pay the fee anyway, even if they did, because all fees are waived. So it's kind of a moot.
No, well, this isn't talking about a fee, it's just.
Well, the calculation is done to
Okay.
determine what the fee will be.
Okay.
Regarding stormwater management, number 16, the cost to put in a dry well is a financial burden, not only for Habitat, for the homeowner. The homeowner will have to deal with maintenance on the dry well. The dry wells typically require a maintenance plan and an overflow. There's no optimal way to overflow, to discharge the dry well. There's no inlet in front of our property.
Madam Chair, just so you know, that he's characterized this as minor development, the engineer. There is a waiver standard for minor developments, and I'm from your ordinance, and I just want to read the language if I can take a minute. It says, the standards, waivers from the strict compliance with the design standards shall only be granted upon a showing that meeting the standard would result in an exceptional hardship on the applicant, or that the benefits to the public good of the deviation from the standard would substantially outweigh any detriments, similar to a variance kind of standard. And so we're saying that because this is low-income housing, to put a dry well on this property would be a cost burden, not only to install it, but also to maintain it. And that you don't believe, is that your opinion,
That
that
is my
it's not
opinion.
required?
That is my opinion. Also, I'd like to just mention that the impervious coverage on the lot is just under 20% on the lot. And, you know, I believe that, you know, the amount of runout generated on site on the 10,000 square foot lot doesn't warrant a dry well. So we'd like the waiver if possible.
And in that regard, what we'd be looking for is the board to make a recommendation. The engineering department actually has to grant the waiver, but of course, the board's input on that, the engineering department would rely upon.
And then the only other two items you would ask for a waiver are from 17 and 18?
Correct, 17 and 18 regarding the additional geotechnical testing. Again, that would be a financial burden imposed on Habitat. We would like to work with the engineering department to come up with another solution that doesn't require extensive geotechnical testing.
And if this is all about, you know, installing a basement and whether there'll be water that will be found while you're putting a basement in, you've talked to me about that, and why don't you talk to the board about?
Well, what we've done in the past is that we would dig a test hole to the approximate depth of the basement and in the area of the footprint of the building, and monitor it for a few hours while on site and determine if there's no water seepage that essentially permits us to proceed with the basement. This was a similar process that we went through on Churchill Avenue, the two lots.
And once again, we'd be looking for the board's input to recommend to the engineering department for that. They'd have they would work it out with, the two engineers have worked it out, but we'd like the board's input on that recommendation.
Other than that, the sewage authority's report you have no problems with?
No, we can comply with the comments.
No problem with the DPW report, correct?
Yes, we can comply with the comment.
I have nothing further for Mr. Fick.
Any questions from the board?
The dry well that you're talking about not putting in, how is that going to affect the neighbors around the area?
Well, that's another point to make also. What happens is, you know, you're putting water into the ground, storing it. It may have an impact to other neighbors as well if the water begins to migrate through the soils, and it may impact, which is another reason why you know, we would prefer not to install the dry well, not only for this lot, but also for neighboring lots as well.
The property will be graded appropriately in conformance with our engineer's recommendations so that there will be no adverse impact whether or not there's a dry well or not on that property. That's the first thing the engineer does when they do their plot plan, is the grading, make sure it doesn't migrate off.
Generally, residential development of this size doesn't require dry wells anyway, right? I mean, I recognize that it's being treated as a minor development.
They do not, typically because they're in a subdivision which has, you know,
Better drainage.
a basin or something. The little homes, when we passed the minor development ordinance a couple years ago, are now required to do it, or a waiver is granted, and sometimes there are waivers granted when they meet some of the conditions that he was talking about in those requirements, so.
Any other questions? Questions from the public? Come on up. State your name and address.
Hi.
Tap on it.
Should be on.
Is it?
Push it up.
Yeah, okay. Speak.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi. Hi. My name is Hollis Sauer, and I live at 582 Jerome Avenue in Somerset, which is the property immediately to the rear. My concern is that the applicant has generalized the neighborhood as residential, and it is a commercial business zone.
Hold on just a second. Just so you know how this works. Right now, you're entitled to ask this witness questions.
Okay.
You will be given an opportunity to make a statement.
Okay.
For that, I have to swear you in. You probably want to do that after they're done with their presentation.
Okay, that's fine. My
that's
question
what you're
then is
gonna
about
do.
the drainage.
then go at it. Ask the question.
As I'm going to have my backyard right up against that, so.
The drainage, the way the lot is graded currently flows in this direction. So any drainage is not be going to the back. It'll be heading this direction and then eventually out to the street.
Okay.
It's a very flat lot, more or less flat. So, but the way our drainage works is that it flows from this direction to this direction and then out to the street.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Al Sansoni. I live at 589 Jerome Avenue. It's right next to the house as well. My question is, you mentioned that most of the houses in this unit, in this area, is ranch style. There's 7 houses there. I think one house is ranch. So would one be considered most?
No.
Okay, so
Is there a question, or do you?
well, my question is, yeah, you consider most. You said most of the houses are ranch, and
Well, I
there's
think he
one-
said consistent with the neighborhood. He didn't say ranch houses were necessarily consistent. He said that it would be consistent with the neighborhood. It would be designed to be a nice new home, and I don't think he said they would all be ranches, that they're all ranches. I don't think you said that.
No, he just said that the ranch design was typical of Habitat for Humanity.
Right, that's
Not, I don't think he said the whole neighborhood was, but if he did, you corrected that, so.
Okay. Thank you. And then my other question, you said it was predominantly residential. So those 7 houses, most of those houses are business related as well. So I know at least 4 of the 7, if not more, have businesses. So can you apply an answer to that?
Well, if they do, we're not aware of it because that's not permitted there, so you may want to not say anything else about that. I mean, that's not permitted.
The CB, they're not permitted?
Those were built as single-family residential homes with no other approvals for anything else, so, and
Back
that's
in-
what this is being built for.
In 1940, they were built, yeah?
We are aware of no other use on those properties except for single-family residential. If they're doing something else, they're doing something else, we're not aware of it. Nor are they permitted to do that. They don't have any approval for it. They'd have to come and get a use variance to do that, or get a certification of pre-existing non-conforming use and prove that since 1958, continually since then, they've been operating that type, which they could do. But there is no approval for any of those homes in that area for that.
On the CB lot?
The corporate business zone has a requirement of 5 acres. So in order to operate an office or a commercial use on those 10,000 square foot lots, well, it doesn't meet the requirements. So to the degree they might be operating there, they don't have approvals for it.
So all the businesses there that are less than 5 acres are doing it illegally?
Unless they have a use variance or a certification of pre-existing non-conforming use, in all likelihood, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, you can move on to your next witness.
Yes, I'd like to call Richard Brown, please.
I don't know. Good evening. You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your name for the record?
Richard E. Brown, B-R-O-W-N.
Yes.
Mr. Brown, could you provide the board with your educational and professional background, please?
Yes, I have a degree in civil engineering from Newark College of Engineering. I've been a licensed professional planner and professional engineer since 1984. I've served in the capacity as the zoning board planner for the Township of Cranford, for the City of Long Branch, and have testified before numerous boards.
And I guess you'll pass.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Brown, have you not reviewed the zoning ordinance and master plan as part of this application?
Yes, I have.
And you are familiar with this application, are you not?
Yes, I am.
What I'd like you to do is just, and I'm not going to interrupt you, I'm going to ask you just to present your planning testimony to support this variance.
Okay. Essentially, we looked at this using the SECA 4-prong test. And first is to identify the beneficial purpose being advanced by this application. As Mr. Lair previously stated, this plan does advance the township's 3rd round of affordable housing. In addition to that, this is classified as an inherently beneficial use because it is 100% affordable. We don't see any detrimental impacts by this application. Just in the way of background for this area, which I've kind of used the term as a residential enclave, there are 6 properties in this area that were built between 1890 and 1970. And if you look at the mapping in the area, the original file map, Howard Avenue and Jerome Avenue actually exist on the other side of 287, which began construction back in 1963 from the New Jersey Turnpike to Route 202 in Montville and completed in 1973. So out of the 5 homes that I've just mentioned, only one of them was built after the construction of I-287. So again, since it's a residential neighborhood, albeit that it's in the corporate business zone, we don't see any detrimental impacts. And the benefits here certainly outweigh any detrimental impacts because we don't see any detrimental impacts, and it does advance the town's master plan, and as I indicated before, is an inherently beneficial use.
The law also requires that you analyze what's called the negative criteria. Even though it may be an inherently beneficial use under Section 70, the law requires that you go through the 2-prong negative criteria test. Can you do that?
Yes, I can. Essentially, there is no negative impact. Number one, because the property currently has residential uses. In addition to that, to put a corporate business use here, as one of the board members indicated, would require a minimum lot size of 5 acres, and we're dealing with 10,000 square feet, so that would be a rather difficult to comply with. And as far as the second prong, we do not feel that this application will in any way impair the intent and purpose of the zone and the master plan. The master plan, which we did review, dated 2006, and again reviewed the 2016 re-examination. There is no indication that this would be any detriment.
And it's not, and it won't be a substantial detriment to the zoning ordinance because this property will be built strictly and completely in conformance with the R10 criteria, correct?
That is correct. There are no bulk variances that we're seeking with this application.
Okay. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
So this home will be owner occupied?
This will be owner occupied, correct?
Okay, and what's the length of the deed restriction?
30 years.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay. Any other witnesses?
No, I've completed my testimony.
Okay. At this point, if you have any comments on this application, I invite the public to come speak. No comments? Okay. I'm closing the public portion. And we have, I open this to discussion for the board or motion.
I'll make a motion. I move that we grant the Raritan Valley Habitat for Humanity a variance to construct a single-family dwelling at 589 Howard Avenue in Somerset, Block 534, lots 6 through 9, and that include a use variance, and that the resolution also allows for the waiver of provisions 1, 8, and 1 and 8 on the engineering report, plus modifies number 14 of the engineering report so that the applicant will provide a replacement on a one-for-one basis of trees.
That's our recommendation.
Yes. And that we also recommend that the engineering department waive the requirement for a dry well. That's in number 16. And then also that the engineering department waive the provisions of sections 17 and 18 and that instead they work with the engineer from Habitat for Humanity to develop an alternative solution, possibly the same one that was used on Churchill Avenue for two other properties, in order to determine whether or not the ground there is sufficiently dry to allow for a basement to be included on the property.
I'll second that.
Any se-
Second.
Mr. Betterbid?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Mr. Pagano?
Yes.
Chairwoman Grauman?
Yes.
I did it right this time. I called you last. You got to the top. I keep
I was
forgetting.
wondering.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for your time.
Come up north.
Okay.
It's pretty far north for you,
Next
huh?
is Elvin Carabello.
It's a close.
Madam Chairman, where the applicant is coming up, maybe I can give a brief description. The applicant is proposing to construct an attached garage. They need 3 new variances. If you see in my report, there's an impervious variance. You're allowed a maximum of 30. They're going to be 1% over at 31. The side yard setback is supposed to be 8 feet. They're proposing at 1.5, and the total side yard setback is at 20. They want 15.4. There's 5 other existing variances in my report that are noted because we always like to clean them up and grant them so that when he transfers title, if he ever does in the future, there isn't an issue with that.
Okay, so
This is, are we talking about McBride here?
No.
No.
We're talking about Carabello.
you could have.
McBride has been carried.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. If you'll pick up the microphone with your left hand, raise your right hand, you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your name for the record.
Elvin Caraballo.
Okay, now it's your opportunity to tell the board what you want.
I'm here to hopefully get granted approval to have an attached garage to my house.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
With respect to the 1.5 foot side yard, where is the house that's next to your property? How far away would the garage be?
Approximately 30 feet.
Have you spoken to your
Yes,
neighbor?
spoke.
They have no problem?
They have no problems.
Are they here tonight?
No.
Then that's a good sign that they have no problem.
Yeah, yeah. You could take that. I just had it because this is the whole thing.
And it appears that, looking at the property, there's really no other place you could put this garage.
No.
It makes sense to go behind the concrete drive.
It's in there, I'm not sure why I don't have it.
I have no other questions. Does anybody else have any questions?
No.
Comments? Motion?
Well, public.
You're right, pardon me.
I want to forget them. I don't think there's anyone here on it, but
Anybody have any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll entertain comments or a motion on this application.
Did you read the comments from the fire prevention department?
I'm not sure if I did, can I?
I want you to read these and tell me whether you can comply with those.
Madam Chair, I don't think that next door neighbor's house is 30 feet away. It's probably like 10 feet from the property line, according to Google Maps.
is this the right, what is that, does the top of that say Tabachnik, or does it say your property?
No, it's, actually, it says,
I have the wrong report in my packet. I'm just making sure we didn't give him the wrong report.
Yeah, no, one did say Tabachnik, but this particular one, oh, yeah, it says Tabachnik, it's wrong.
Yeah,
So this is not me, right?
Yeah, so do I.
yeah, you don't have to worry about that,
Oh, it's wrong.
because that's the wrong
Yeah, I
report.
noticed that.
Never mind.
Yeah, we apologize for that there,
That's the box.
because I'm just looking at it here, it's the wrong.
Didn't make any sense.
Yeah, there wasn't anything of major import from John's, that's just the wrong one.
Okay, once more with feeling.
Well, what about let's go general review and comments. What about the consolidation of deeds?
Well, that he has to do.
Have you seen this? Your general comments? You're gonna have to go to a lawyer and get him to do a new deed for the property. All right? What are the other provisions?
You're aware of that?
Right, right. What are the other things in there? I just gave him my piece.
I'll just say he's got to comply, Bob.
Okay, all right.
Didn't he get copies, his copies?
You know, very often, for whatever reason, they don't have it. I don't know whether they should.
Yeah, when they're sent out the notice to come, they're advised that the reports will be ready, and some pick them up, some of them don't. But they're advised that they can pick them up. The
So you
Friday.
have a copy of that, and you'll be required to comply with all of the conditions. Okay.
All right, I move that we grant Mr. Elvin Caraballo a variance, or several variances, to construct an attached garage to his house, namely an impervious coverage variance giving allowing him to have a 31% impervious coverage on the property, a single side setback of 1.5%, 1.5 feet on the side of the property on which the garage is being built, the total side yard setback of 15.4 feet, the side yard setback of the shed of 1 foot, the side yard setback of the pool, which is would be 7 feet, the side yard setback of pool equipment, where it is currently located, the front yard setback for the pool of 20 feet, and the through lot, the existence of the fact that it's a through lot.
Do I have a second?
And you have to pay your water bill.
Your water bill.
You're delinquent on that. So second.
Oh, okay. Mr. Betterbid?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Mr. Gala?
Yes.
Chairman Grumman? Chairwoman Garman, sorry.
Chair. Grill.
Chair Grumman, yeah.
Yes.
So many, 10 years of saying chairman.
You did.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Peter is coming up.
Madam Chairman, if you wanted to take a break now, this would be before Peter gets his two. I don't know if you do, but I'm just saying if you wanted to take the break before he gets
How
his
long do
two.
you think you're gonna be?
Well, wait.
Well, he's got two
Wait,
applications.
I need a break.
All right, we're having a break.
Plus, it gives us a chance to read
You can read the resolution.
the resolution.
Resolution.
Oh, yeah, what about?
Yeah.
Why don't we, before we start with Rutgers Community Christian
Yeah,
Church?
Madam Chairwoman, there are 4 people eligible to vote. Mr. Betterbid, Mr. Rich, Mr. Rosenthal, and Ms. Brigala. Those are the 4 that can vote on that resolution.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Mr. Betterbid,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal,
Yes.
Ms. Brigala.
Yes. Okay.
Here you go.
Thank you.
We're ready.
Anytime, Peter.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Madam Chairperson, I'm sorry.
It's tough after 20 years of Bob.
I apologize. Peter Lanford appearing on behalf of the applicant. I am here this evening on behalf of Rutgers Community Christian Church, who is here this evening for a use variance and site plan approval to incorporate the old Henning's Flower Shop into the church campus. As you are aware, having heard numerous applications, houses of worship are conditional uses. In this case, we meet all of the conditions of the conditional use standards other than the buffer to the adjoining property, and that's why we're before the Board of Adjustment.
Oh, excuse me, other than the what?
The buffer requirement.
Oh, buffer, okay.
To the adjoining property. I will have two witnesses this evening. I will have the representative of the church and then our project coordinator from Reynolds Engineering. I would like to call as my first witness Mr. Wei Lang. If you can stand and be sworn.
Okay, sir, you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Hold the microphone up.
Sorry, question again, please?
Yeah. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your name for the record?
My name is Wei Liang from Rutgers Community Christian Church.
Okay.
Could you spell it, please?
Pardon me?
Would you spell your last name?
My last name spells L-I-A-N-G.
You can sit down, Wei. Mr. Lang, you are one of the trustees of Rutgers Community Christian Church.
Yes, I'm one of the trustees and also one of the elders of the church.
And how long have you been affiliated with the church?
This is going to be my 27th year.
Okay. And Rutgers Community Christian Church has a campus which is on Cedar Grove Lane and at the intersection of New Brunswick Road. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And I am going to mark as Exhibit A1 a survey of the properties. And Mr. Lang, can you see the survey?
Yes.
Okay. Very briefly, there are numerous buildings on the property. Can you just take the board through what each of the buildings that currently exist on the property, what their purpose and function is?
May I come up?
Sure.
Many years ago, I think since the 79, the church, the first developments in this area. Okay? And after that, we acquired this land here and developed the second phase. This is also one of the worship chapels. Here is the residence for the custodian for the church. It's the house. And then since 1912, we finished the next project, which is the building the new sanctuary here. We finished it in 2012. And the sanctuary house is about 1,400 or so. And the same years, we acquired the land next to it, which is the former Henny Flower Fairs. And they decided to move out the business. And so we wanted to further develop this area for the church ministries.
Okay. Come back here and we can talk about what we're doing. You indicated you acquired the property in 2012, and at the time you acquired it, it was an active retail commercial nursery. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, at the campus at the present time, you outlined the buildings that you have, and within the buildings, do you have offices?
Yes, we do. The offices are centralized in the first phase, the bottom one, if you will.
Okay. And at the present time, the application we have here this evening is basically to consolidate the lot and to use what was the retail portion of the nursery for offices. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and I have asked you to prepare a chart of what your office needs are and why we are seeking to put offices within that building, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the chart that you prepared.
Right.
I'm going to mark this A2.
Okay.
Is that the chart that he prepared?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, this chart that you prepared indicates the people that work at or conduct the ministry at the church. Is that correct?
Yes.
And all of these people are there either on a daily basis or on a fairly regular basis and have needs for offices?
That's correct.
Okay. And at the present time, how many offices do you currently have within that initial building?
I have only 12.
Okay, and the plan, which was part of our submission, which is the architectural plan that was prepared by your architect, is to convert the flower shop to have 5 offices. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and those would be your everyday working staff?
Yes.
Okay, and they would park in front of the building?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, on the site, besides using the existing flower shop for offices, there are other buildings on the site. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds prepared a colorized rendering of the plan, which I have already marked A3, and I'm going to pass that out to the board members. Now, Mr. Lang, I'm going to take you through A3, and Mr. Reynolds will go through the exhibit in a little bit more detail later, but for the purpose of our discussion now, and one of the questions that was asked in the staff report are what are the current uses for all of these buildings? The building, the commercial building, which is the brown building to the right of the subject property, is the part that we're going to convert from the retail to the office. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the building to the left of that, what is that building?
To the left is this bi-level house. It's being occupied by one of the ministers of the church and his family.
Okay, so that is part of the parsonage or residence for a minister.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, if we go behind the flower shop, there are some greenhouses. Are they currently being used for anything?
Only one. This is the rectangular one. And the church been involved with a lot of community projects, one of which is to participate in the food bank. And since the greenhouse is readily made, and so we're going to be using that for
Did you say
raising
the
the
food bank?
seedlings. Pardon me?
You said food bank?
Food bank, yes. But that was off-site. But now we have opportunity to support that further by utilizing one of the greenhouse, it's being former greenhouse, and going to raise the seedlings to support that for planting.
Okay.
And but not a whole lot of activities going on right now. It's being geared up.
Okay. Now, and that, if you're going back, would be the third building. It would be the rectangular building in a light tan color. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And to the left of that is another little brown building. That's a shed?
That's just for storage of stuff.
Okay. There is also, going further back, a masonry garage, and there are apartments above that. Is that correct?
Yes, that is
Is that the brown building?
That's the
Yes,
brown.
the brown one.
Because it's all neatly written in handwriting that's way too small for me to read. So,
Okay. It serves both as a garage and as a residence?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the residence going to be used for?
It's been used for missionaries back from Pharaohs, invited church minister speakers, and also some of the visiting group, like leading some of the music training. And in fact, it's been very actively used since we sort of touched up the place a little bit and repainted it. And since June, in fact, it booked up all the way up to October already.
So there are no full-time residents in that building. They're either visiting missionaries, lecturers, or church-related instructors. Is that correct?
Yes.
And if they come to the site, they're invited to stay there for the period of time that they're
Right.
doing something at the subject property, correct?
You may have, I may have missed it, but the greenhouse that is directly behind
The flower shop,
the office building, what's happening with that?
it's just sitting there. It's not being used.
Yeah, are you going to remove it? Is it gonna just sit there? What's the plan?
For the time being, it's going to sit there. I think Mr. Healy, in one of his reports, and I will correct the plan, it says that this is temporary. When in reality, this is a site plan. We are going to do exactly what's shown there. The church is working on an active master plan for the entire campus, and they're going to be making other changes and moving things around. Within probably the next 2 years or sooner, we will be back here with a full site plan for this site, which will probably eliminate some things and add some things. So we are asking for a site plan approval for what you see there. It is a formal site plan, but there will be, just so you know, something coming down the road, but we're not at that stage yet.
Okay.
I think what it boils down to is, and a good part of my comments in the beginning of my memo was basically, and this is what Mr. Lanford is doing right now, which is they basically have a very low-intensity use of this site now. And the site, the way that the site is laid out, can only accommodate a low-intensity use because they only have 6 parking spaces. But they need to go through, and because the plans didn't really speak to some of the things they talked. They didn't tell us necessarily who was going to be residing in that apartment. Now we know it's going to be accessory to the use, people visiting with the church, not being rented out to somebody.
Correct.
You know, we understand that the minister and his family is going to be living in that one dwelling, and that just that one brown building is going to be used for office. So, they need to I think they need to prove to you that in this short-term plan, it's going to be a low-intensity use that this site plan can accommodate in terms of 6 parking spaces. And then what Mr. Lanford just said, at some point in the future, they're going to come in. I have no idea what their plans are. They're going to have to come make a different application. They're going to have to prove that whatever they do with this site in terms of larger parking lots, stormwater basins, all those things to accommodate that other plan, whatever that is, they're going to come in at a later date from that application.
And probably the next plan will bring the whole campus back into you because it'll really deal with the whole campus again.
But you're going to have 27 employees, right? So, I mean, how does 6 parking?
No, there will be 5. If you look at the architectural plans for the building, there's 5 desks and 5 employees working in that building. That's what we're asking for approval for. There will still be offices in the other buildings, and the other employees will be working in the other building.
Oh, see, that's not what I took away from this thing. I thought it was that there are already 17 offices in the building, or 12 offices in the building, and 5 cubicles, and you wanted to add 5 new offices.
No.
That's not what we're doing here?
No, and if I confused you, I apologize. What we're adding is basically 5 desks or offices in the existing flower shop.
Okay, so
to accommodate.
the other offices are in a different building that's already been approved and taken care of on the other property.
That is correct.
This is campus-wide.
That's campus-wide.
Right.
That was
Yeah.
confusing.
Okay.
Had me going there. All right.
We try to keep you on your toes. So, but if you look at the architectural plans, which were part of your plan set that were prepared by Mr. Shan, you can see clearly that there's 3 offices or 3 desks on the first level, 2 on the second level, and that's what we're proposing, is to have 5 people working in that building, period. The residents and then the building in the back, as we talked about with the dignitaries, and that's all that this site's going to be used for. Just one other quick question, because of the Mr. Healy sort of alluded to concerning the parking. Most of the time when you have the missionaries or other dignitaries that come and use the building in the back, do most of the time that those individuals have motor vehicles, or are they transported to the property?
Most of the time, they have their own vehicles.
Okay, and they park back
Yes.
in front of the garage?
That's correct.
Okay, and then there is parking for the minister in front of his house.
Right.
Is there a garage there?
Yeah, formerly, there's, bi-level home was occupied by family as well.
Yeah.
So,
So there's parking for the residents,
Yeah.
there's parking in the back for the visitors, and there's 5 parking spaces plus the handicap parking space for the 5 employees, is that
That
correct?
is correct.
Okay. And what are the general hours of operation that for your employees that work in that building?
well, typically it's from 9 to 5.
Okay.
Yeah. But, being minister, sometimes it could be working odd hours, extra hours, and, sometimes visitation may be off-site and all that.
All right, but generally it's a
Yes.
9 to 5 operation. And what's the function of the people that would be working there?
Well, these are the ministers, intern minister, and basically these are 2 categories.
Okay. So part of their work is their offices are there, and part of their work as ministers, they go out into the community, so they're not there all the time also.
That's what I was alluded to, because there might be times that would be visiting the people in need and outside the
Okay.
campus.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Questions from the board?
Yeah. Do you mean 9 to 5, Monday through Friday?
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, sometimes they work in the weekends too, but
All right,
typically
but
it's
mainly during the work week?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Open it to the public. Any questions? Okay, next witness.
Mr. Reynolds?
Okay. Solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And your name for the record?
Jeffrey D. Reynolds, R-E-Y-N-O-L-D-S.
Mr. Reynolds, you can be seated. By whom are you employed?
The Reynolds Group Incorporated.
Okay, and can you give the board the benefit of your educational and professional background?
I graduated from Syracuse University in 1991 with a Bachelor's of Landscape Architecture. I passed the state exam in 2002, and I've been practicing as a landscape architect ever since.
Okay, and the site plan that is before the board this evening and the consolidation plan that is before the board this evening was prepared by you and also by Mr. Ardman, who is a licensed engineer. Is that correct?
That is correct. I was the project manager.
Okay, thank you. I have taken the board through the entire campus, and part of the application is to consolidate this lot, which we just purchased in 2012, into the rest of the campus. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And at the conclusion of this, if the board would approve everything, you would be preparing a consolidation deed, which we would file to make this lot part of that campus.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. If you can go to Exhibit A3. Which is a little bit bigger, so hopefully everybody else can see it. Can you just take the board really through the property real quickly as to how you access the property, how you exit the property, and are there any changes that are being proposed from what the site was as a flower shop?
Yes. The current site as it exists now has two-way in and two-way out with a circular drive.
That's there now?
That is there now.
Okay.
What you're seeing here is exactly what is out there now.
Okay.
Okay. We are proposing to make it a one-way in and a one-way out. And this is the main entrance, which is a little bit larger. And it does have some illumination from a light on top of a pole here, so you can see the driveway. And then it would be striping, restriping of the parking, putting arrows, do not enter signs, stop signs and such, just to create traffic flow going in one direction only.
And other than that, are there any changes being proposed to the site?
Yes, we are going to decommission the wells that are currently on site for drinking water and permit them as irrigation only. And we are going to bring in some new water lines. There's a water main in Cedar Grove Lane. We're going to bring water lines to all of the buildings on the property.
I'm sorry. Two things. Show me where Cedar Grove Lane is.
Right here.
Good, all right. And the irrigation concept, what are we going to be irrigating?
It's for the grass or for gardens or whatever they have on site. There are multiple wells on site. It would be a shame to just decommission them and not use them for other purposes.
All right.
And where is the water line coming to the subject property?
It would be coming through the driveway in.
Okay, and there is a municipal water line in Cedar Grove Lane?
Yes, there is.
Do you know how big that line is?
It's, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know it's pretty big.
Okay, thank you. Can you indicate to the board what lighting is out there at the present time?
Yes, there's a telephone pole located adjacent to the driveway, and there's a single fluorescent spotlight that's on this pole, and it's angled at about a 45-degree angle, directed right to the entrance of the driveway. So it does, I went out there at night and I made some foot candle readings, and it does illuminate well enough for people to see where the driveway is.
Okay. Are there any lights on the building itself?
There are some lights mounted on the front porch, and there's probably 5 hi-hat lights, and when you stand in the porch is very well lit. It is about 5-foot candles.
Okay. And is there any lighting around the house?
I believe there is a light on the dwelling here that functions when somebody comes close. It flashes on.
It's motion
over the
activated?
garage, yes.
Okay. And basically, based on the testimony of Mr. Lang, that the employees are there generally 9 to 5, in your opinion, there's sufficient lighting for the employees to safely get to their vehicles and to enter and exit the site?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, and at this point, we're not proposing any additional lighting or illumination?
No, we are not.
Okay. Now, one of the variances that we are seeking is the buffer requirement. Is that correct?
That's correct.
This site was formerly a commercial flower shop?
Yes.
Okay, and when it was operating as a commercial flower shop, to the right of the subject property, is there a single-family residential dwelling?
Yes, there is.
Approximately how far is it from the property?
It looks to be about 50 feet away.
Okay. And is there any existing buffering between this site and that dwelling?
There is currently an existing row of red cedar straight down the property line that have been there for quite a few years.
I show you a photograph and ask if you took this photograph?
Yes, I did.
When did you take the photograph?
That photograph was taken about a year ago.
Okay. And it shows the vegetation that separates the single-family dwelling from what was then the flower shop property, correct?
That's correct.
I would like to mark that A4.
Are you able to say that that's what it still looks like today, though, just for the record?
Absolutely, yes. I went out there just last week.
Okay.
And obviously, by showing this buffer, I assume your testimony is that that buffer is going to remain?
Yes.
Is this a picture of the shadow?
No, this is a picture of the trees.
The picture's taken as you're looking from the road kind of down the tree line, so it's a little bit deceiving, but it is a very thick buffer.
And Mr. Reynolds, your office has had an opportunity to review the staff reports in conjunction with this application?
Yes.
Okay, and is there anything in the staff reports or any request that we cannot comply with?
No.
Okay. Just to clarify one thing, just so we have it on the record, the report of Mr. Vega wanted to know how we were dealing with garbage that would be generated from this use. Have you had an opportunity to discuss that with Mr. Lang and the church?
Yes, we
And
have.
how they would handle the garbage?
There are currently dumpsters on the larger property to the south, and basically, they're not generating much garbage here. And they do have a custodian who gets in a golf cart and travels between the properties, and he will collect the garbage and take it to the dumpster.
So we will be using the existing dumpsters and not providing any additional, or we don't need any
We
additional
don't need
dumpsters?
any, that's correct.
Okay. And let me just review Mr. Healy's report, I think.
Signage?
Oh, are there any signs on the subject property at the present time?
Yes, there is a sign currently out there. I don't think, it's not a real, it's an old sign. It's been there for a long time.
And the proposal is we would just identify the building with the existing sign that was there for the flower shop. We're not looking to add anything, make it any bigger, but just incorporate the existing sign.
That's the Henning sign?
That's correct.
And that's not illuminated, is it?
I don't believe so.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a variance, because you can have one sign for a frontage. This is going to be one big campus. I think you already had variances for more than one. Now, this technically, even though it's existing, this is all going to be one campus, so.
If I technically need a variance, I would respectfully request that the board grant me the variance to keep that sign. My notice in this application indicated that if there were any additional variances that would be determined during the course of the hearing, we would be requesting them, so I think we adequately noticed that. And I would request that the sign that Hennings used to use be allowed so that at least we can identify that as part of our campus.
So it'd be the same location, size?
The same sign.
You're gonna change it to Rutgers?
Yeah, we're going to change the messaging, but we're not going to change the sign.
Okay.
And I think that we addressed Mr. Healy's comments, so I have no further questions of Mr. Reynolds.
I'm sorry, did you say you're going to agree to all the different staff reports?
Yeah, he indicated that we're going to comply with all the staff
All right,
reports.
thank you.
Okay, any questions from the board?
I just want to make sure that this buffer between the property, the subject property, and the next-door neighbor, this buffer is going to remain.
Correct.
Okay, good. Because that question was asked, and I think the answer may have been swallowed.
No, he indicated yes.
Okay.
And when do you expect to commence, or have you already commenced, and when will you complete it?
Complete.
What you're doing? What you're doing?
We're sort of using it already. The residence has always been used by the minister since we acquired the property, and we just recently have,
But all the other things that you're proposing to do, when do you expect to?
as soon as we're approved, immediately.
Now,
Cheryl? Did you have a question?
Yes. The lighting, does it exceed the ordinance standards at the property line?
The lighting faces in towards our property. It definitely doesn't shine on the neighbor's property. As far as the right-of-way of the road, it might exceed that a little bit, because I know it's 1.25-foot candle at the face of curb, which is good so you can see the driveway, but it's not, it's an old fluorescent light. It's not a bright white light.
So you don't know whether it exceeds at the residential property line?
I would say it definitely does not exceed at that residential property line. But if you're talking about the right-of-way line,
No, at the residential property line.
it is pitch black over there.
Okay. Do you know how many foot candles it is?
Probably zero,
Okay, probably.
absolutely.
All right.
Because it's facing towards our property. They're behind the light. Light can't wrap around, so it's definitely zero behind the light.
And are you submitting something more official to the engineer to verify that?
I can if you would like, because I did go out there and take foot candle readings.
Okay, yes, please. And landscaping, there's no landscaping in the front?
Nothing proposed at this time.
Okay. Can we make that some kind of condition of approval that I know they're gonna do their master plan eventually, but I don't know when that's coming in, and
Are you talking about in that island in front of?
Yes.
I'm sure we can put some plantings in that island.
okay, so you'll submit a landscaping plan.
I think Mr. Reynolds can
I
speak.
think Mr. Reynolds can do that.
Shouldn't take much, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't even noticed that this was being used again.
It's very low intensity.
I think that's all I have for now.
And just to clarify, Pat Elliott has a letter here July 1st saying that the wells have to be capped.
I think she indicated or converted to be used for.
Re-permitted, I believe.
Re-permitted for irrigation, which is what we're going to do. And we will satisfy Patty Elliott that they're not going to be used for drinking water, but for irrigation, and we'll get them properly permitted. And that could be in the resolution.
Yeah. And her second comment about the reuse of the building, and if your septic system can manage it, obviously that's something you're going to work out with her.
Yeah, and actually, the use that we now have is less intense than when it was a flower shop, but we will work that out with her and
I
satisfy her.
understand why. Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, anybody from the public, any questions? Okay, seeing none?
Very briefly, everything that we are proposing is permitted as conditional and accessory to the church. As I indicated in my opening, other than the fact of the buffer requirements, which are rather stringent in this municipality, we meet all of the other requirements, and I think the buffering is identified by Mr. Reynolds, which we intend to keep, shields the adjoining property owner from what we are doing, and quite frankly, what we are doing is significantly less intense than when this property was an active flower shop and greenhouse.
It's a retail organization.
Yes.
So you're diminishing the
Correct.
intensity.
Okay, before we entertain any discussion, anybody out there, apart from questions, have any comments on this application? Okay. Any discussion, motion?
Yeah, all right. I move that we grant Rutgers Community Christian Church the variance is requested in application docket ZBA 16-00024, namely to give them a variance required for the buffer for residential use.
And the sign.
And the sign, and that the applicant will have its professionals meet with the Franklin Township professionals to design some planting in the front of the space to make it look nice.
And I would add that the results of the lighting study be submitted to the engineer.
Second? Anybody?
Second.
Mr. Betterbid.
Yes.
Mr. Rich.
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal.
Yes.
Ms. Brigala.
Yes.
Chair Grauman. I got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Here's Elvin Caravano, too.
It's true. Yep. We'd be home earlier.
You don't want to keep it for stuff that's going to...
No.
Oh, you're doing Mattson?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And Mattson?
Good evening, Madam Chairperson. I'm a quick learner. Peter Lanford appearing on behalf of the applicant. This is an application for a variance to construct a single-family residential dwelling on property known as Block 449, lots 7 through 15 in the R20 zone. We are here tonight because we have an undersized lot because we are a corner lot. And there are 3 variances that we will be seeking. The first variance is for lot area. The zone requirement for a corner lot is 26,000 feet. The zone requirement, if this is not a corner lot, is 20,000 square feet. We have a lot of 21,752 square feet, so we exceed the zone requirements, but not the corner lot requirements. We also have a lot frontage variance. We have 2 frontages. We have a frontage on Maxwell and a frontage on Easton Avenue. The lot frontage requirement, we do not meet on one of the frontages, which is on Easton Avenue. It is required to be 130 feet, again, because we are a corner lot. And we are proposing 120.36 feet, which is an existing condition. Ironically, we are not extending Maxwell Street, so even though it is a corner lot, to some degree it is not a corner lot because Maxwell Street does not extend and does not connect to Easton Avenue, and it is not the intent to connect it, nor has it been requested or wanted by the county or the municipality to extend Maxwell to create another intersection at Easton Avenue. The third variance is a front yard setback on Maxwell. The zone requirement is 35 feet, and we are proposing a 25-foot front yard setback. I have 2 witnesses that I intend to call this evening, Ms. Mattson and Mr. Fisk. I will start with Ms. Mattson.
Okay. Solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your name for the record.
Maureen Mattson.
Okay.
Ms. Mattson, you or Mattson Construction is the owner of the subject property?
That's correct.
Okay, and you purchased the property, actually, these were 2 separate parcels that you purchased in 2015 from Philip Barud and Teresa M. Barud, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you have consolidated those to create the 20,000 square foot parcel?
Yes.
Okay, when you purchased them, both of them were approximately 10,000 square feet?
That's correct.
Okay.
Did you purchase them from different people?
No, the Broods own both lots.
Oh.
Okay. I do have the deeds here. If the board wants, I will have them marked as A1.
Yeah, right.
And A2, so I have the deeds to the subject property. Now, Ms. Mattson, in my opening, you heard my comment concerning variances that were needed to build a single-family house on a subject property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and having done more than one of these applications, you're aware that when you're dealing with an undersized lot, you have to contact adjoining property owners to either buy or sell the property. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And there are 2 adjacent properties to yours. If you're looking at the subject property from Maxwell, there is a house to the right of you. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the owner of that property is Edward and Joanne Gallazin.
That's correct.
And you sent them both a certified letter and a regular letter. Is that correct?
Yes.
And they were sent in June 15th, 2016 by you.
That's correct.
And these are the certified mail receipts, and they were returned to sender unclaimed, correct?
That's correct.
I'd like to mark those as A3.
Question, the regular mail letters that you sent, were they returned?
No. No.
Okay.
Now, to the left of your property on Easton Avenue, there is another dwelling, is that correct?
That's correct.
And that one is owned by the Bacons.
Yes.
And you did send them a letter, if I can find it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you sent them one in June, but the one in June did not meet the statutory requirements, and then you resent the letter.
That's correct.
Is Maxwell off Easton? Is that what it?
Yes, it is.
Did I hear you say that? Whereabouts? How far down? Where?
It is,
Well, to clarify, it's a paper street where it meets Easton. The street does not actually connect out to Easton Avenue. Maxwell is a dead end. It dead ends before it gets to Easton.
So what part of Easton? I mean, where is it? So I can. Is it past JFK Boulevard going towards New Brunswick? Is it?
no,
before-
it's out towards Cedar Grove Lane.
Oh, it's by Cedar Grove Lane. Okay.
Yeah, it's south, or actually east of Cedar Grove Lane.
Willow, Culver, that area, Willow?
Yes.
Culver?
Oh, okay.
Right there, right
No,
there,
exactly
right next to
where-
Culver.
Hollywood, that area.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Down by Walnut and. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, you did send also a certified letter to the Bacons who live at 1440 Easton Avenue, is that correct?
I did.
And you sent that letter on July 7th, 2016.
Yes.
And the Bacons do have some property, they are slightly over 20,000 square feet, so there was a possibility that they could sell you some land.
That's correct.
Okay. I'm going to mark this as A4. And after having sent that letter to the Bacons, did you have any communication with them?
We did. We met them at their property, and we had a discussion with them.
Okay. And based on that discussion, were they interested in either A, buying the property that you currently own, or selling you any additional land to make your lot more conforming?
They were not.
Okay. Did they have certain requests of you when you had the meeting concerning the house that you're building and any landscaping that they would like you to provide?
Yes.
Okay, and can you indicate to the board what that request was?
They would just like to maintain some privacy between their property and our property. So we had a discussion about putting in pine trees in the area between the properties to keep privacy.
And so are you agreeable to that?
Yes.
Okay, and you would propose and you would provide a landscape plan to provide an evergreen buffer between your lot and lot 16, is that correct?
Yes.
In addition, one of the variances that we are seeking is a front yard variance. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, the zoning requirement is 35 feet, and we are proposing to encroach into the front yard.
Correct.
And that is your request for a variance. That's not being created by the property. You can make the house fit within the building envelope. Is that correct?
Yes.
And why did you propose or ask for a front yard variance?
It gives us more rear yard, backyard, and also the house next door is has the same frontage, so we're just keeping in line with that also.
Okay, and that would also provide further separation between the house that you are proposing to build and the Bacon dwelling, which is to the rear of that property?
That's correct.
So you would have a larger backyard and a larger separation between your house and the Bacon dwelling?
That's correct.
Okay.
How big is the house? How many square feet is the house going to be?
It's about 2250. 2250.
Okay, and just for the record, the building coverage requirement in the zone is 15%, and the house that we are proposing is at 7%, so it's half of what we could build on the subject
Correct.
property. And you've built numerous houses in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And is the house in character with the other houses within that
Just
neighborhood?
my
It is.
question. That was my question. How consistent is it with looking like
It
the
is,
other
it's
houses?
consistent. It's the same size as the one across the street.
As a matter of fact, on the other side of Maxwell, you built the house on the other side of Maxwell.
We did,
How long ago was that?
2005.
Okay, and that house is approximately the same size?
Yes,
And by the way, because there are certain issues in the staff reports that I got to deal with, the house that you built across the street on Maxwell, is that serviced by public water?
it is,
And where did you connect to the water?
on Easton Avenue.
Okay.
I know this is going to be a question. The house that you have on the plans in terms of its location and its dimensions, and then the house that you have in the architecturals, that's what you're going to build?
That's correct.
The exact same house in the location that you have on the plans?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have no further questions of Ms. Mattson.
Are the Bacons in the building?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Just
Yes,
just
they
trying
are.
to pick up who else is here.
Anybody have any questions on the board? No. Public?
Well, I'm glad to see that this is a nice sizable lot compared to some of the others that you've been before us with. I mean, I think it looks like a pretty good application.
Now, you know that right now, this is just questions, not comments, right? If you have questions of the witness, that's what the purpose of this section is. If you want to make a comment afterward about the application. Okay.
All right, good.
Anybody else? All right. On to the next.
Mr. Fisk.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Name for the record.
Stephen with a PH, M. Fisk, F-I-S-K, from Fisk Associates, 631 Union Avenue, Middlesex, New Jersey. I'll be testifying as a professional land surveyor, professional planner. I have testified before this board numerous times.
You're fine.
We never saw you.
Well, I don't know, well, let's not tell him he's fine. He's qualified.
Mr. Fisk, your office prepared the plan, which is the subject of this application.
We did.
And one of the copies of the plan is mounted on the board to our left.
That is a copy of the plan submitted to the board.
I will mark that as A1.
That plan is dated, last revision, May 13th, 2016.
It's you're already up to A4, so.
I'm sorry.
I can't. So A5? Okay.
He doesn't really need to mark it.
No, but we'll lock them down with it, you know.
Okay, and the plan that is on the board is the same plan that was submitted with our application?
Correct.
Okay. And can you briefly describe what we are proposing for the board?
Yes, as you and Ms. Batson has previously stated, this is a corner lot in the R20 zone. Due to the shape and size of the lot, 2 variances are required before this board, one for lot frontage on Easton Avenue and one for lot area, because it's a corner lot, even though it complies with the standard size for a lot in the R20 zone. Being as there are no additional property available, these variances are beyond our control, and the applicant does have a hardship in that respect. It should be noted that this property is the largest property on Maxwell Lane. And there are 3 other houses on Maxwell Lane, and has been previously stated, the house across the street is approximately the same size as this proposed dwelling, and also the other 2 houses in terms of FAR are approximately the same size as this proposed dwelling, which is a modest dwelling for this size lot.
What's FAR?
Floor area ratio. So
Okay.
basically, that's a measure of how big the house in relation to the size of the lot.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Say that again, it's a what?
It's a measurement of how big the house is in relation to the size of the lot. So he's saying in terms of the volume of the house, it's no bigger than other houses in the neighborhood. Is that correct?
And we have a much larger lot. We are only using 7% of the allowable floor area ratio, whereas 15% is permitted in this zone.
Oh, okay,
The applicant could build a house twice as large.
good.
And the impervious coverage is the same situation where we are using 10% of the allowable impervious coverage, whereas 25% is permitted.
Wow, okay, good.
So the applicant is not only not using what could be built on this property, she's not asking for a variance with respect to any bulk requirements other than the two variances stated, with the exception of 1/3 variance that we would like to have, and I'll give the 3 reasons why the board should grant that variance. The setbacks along Maxwell Lane of the other 3 houses are also far under the mandatory 35-foot requirement. The house next door is only 17.8 feet back from the roadway.
Wow.
The houses across the street are 23.5 and 25.5. We are asking for 25 feet,
25.
which will be in conformance with the neighborhood. The second reason is that even though this house could be fit within the building envelope, because it's a corner lot, there is no rear yard. If this were an interior lot, there would be a 50-foot rear yard requirement. Our house, the main foundation is going to be 43 feet from the rear yard, which fully complies with the ordinance. However, it's nice to have a little bit more space in the back, and in this case, we don't need a 35-foot front yard based on the neighborhood of Maxwell Lane. The third reason is to afford not only this property, but the adjoining property more space in between the houses, such that there would now be about 80 feet between the 2 houses versus this house could be placed as close as 15 feet from the common property line. So what the applicant is doing will actually be a benefit and will certainly outweigh any detriment to your granting the variance.
Very thoughtful.
And in summary, we just think it's a better alternative in this particular case.
Yep, I agree.
Now, Mr. Fisk, we've had an opportunity to review the staff reports that were generated in conjunction with this application.
Yes, we have.
Okay, and first of all, we are asking for a waiver of constructing any sidewalk and curbing. Is there any curbing or sidewalk in the vicinity of the subject property?
No, there are no curbs or sidewalks on Maxwell Lane or First Street, which Maxwell Lane connects to. The closest curbing and sidewalk is over on Culver, but there's nothing in the immediate neighborhood whatsoever. And as stated in the engineering memorandum, the applicant will be making a contribution in lieu of getting the waiver for the curb and sidewalk. There is a second waiver that we were requesting on the application. That was for the installation of a water retention pit due to the fact that the soils are not really compatible for permeability. We are not going to ask for that waiver anymore due to the fact that based on the Delaware and Raritan Canal Commission report that we have received, we're going to have to put the pit in anyway. And we'll have to have a relief pipe to drain that since it probably will not percolate. But that eliminates the need for the waiver for the detention pit.
And we will satisfy the DRCC and meet all of their requirements, correct?
Yes, we will.
Okay. The other request that we have is there were reports that wanted us to extend a water line to the subject property. Is that correct?
Yes, there is a public sanitary sewer in Maxwell Lane, which actually has a clean-out already constructed in front of this property, which we will connect to. The Sewage Authority has no problem in this application. There is a existing 12-inch water line along Easton Avenue on our side of the street, which we have shown that we were going to connect to, as has everyone else who has built along Easton Avenue for the past 50 years. The memorandum from the engineer, Public Works, and Fire Prevention have requested that we might extend a 8-inch water line up Maxwell Lane, but we see no reason to do that since we have a water line 5 feet from our property. There was also mention in the memorandum about a hydrant. There is an existing hydrant less than 20 feet from our property, right on Easton Avenue. It's up at the northerly or easterly corner of the property. It would be the back left if you were looking at the lot. So we have a hydrant, we have a water line, and we would like to connect to that water line to serve this property.
Okay. Other than that, in all other respects, we can comply with all of the other staff reports. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And for the record, if I can find it very quickly.
So would that be another, I guess, Vince, would that be another situation in which we would recommend to the engineering department that they waive that requirement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to make the final determination. But yes, you could make that recommendation.
Yeah, well, there's really two different issues here. The extension of the water line is one thing. The location of the fire hydrant, I think, is something else.
Well, they're actually tied together.
They're tied together.
Yeah. The only reason,
The only way to get the fire hydrant there is if they extend the water.
Correct.
As recommended, okay.
Right.
And who puts in the fire hydrant, the town, or?
Oh, no. No.
And for the record, because I don't know where this is going to end up, and I need to put certain things on the record, and the board can do whatever they want with them. I do want to mark as Exhibit A5 the variance plan that was approved across the street on Maxwell. A6. On Maxwell and Easton Avenue, which shows that plan in 2005 had a tie-in of a water line to Easton Avenue. I next, for the record, made an OPA request because the reports indicate, well, first of all, the one report said that tying to a transmission line on Easton Avenue is prohibited. So I made an OPA request to the municipality for all water connections to the existing water line on Easton Avenue. I received a letter back from Anne Marie McCarthy, which generated a report dated August 4th, 2016, and that report indicates that there are currently 157 tie-ins to the water line on Easton Avenue. Now, some of them are multiple on one property where there are commercial buildings further down on Easton Avenue. There may be 2 or 3 tie-ins, but there are 157 water connections currently to the transmission line on Easton Avenue. I also asked for a list of the water connections on Cedar Grove Lane because Cedar Grove Lane has a 30-inch transmission line, and I also, if you recall, asked Mr. Reynolds in the previous application what we were going to do, and we were going to tie into that 30-inch transmission line in the previous application. There was no report saying we couldn't. And just for the record, there are 78 water connections to Cedar Grove Lane and the 38 transmission lines. So I would like to mark the result of my OPA request as a 7, Mr. Bradshaw.
Yep.
Is there a clear path for from the hydrant on Easton to the end of Maxwell?
Through this property or down the sidewalk on Easton Avenue, yes, there's a sidewalk.
Okay, so this isn't an area that's steeply graded like other parts of Easton?
No, there's an asphalt sidewalk along the edge of Easton Avenue here.
Okay, where's the hydrant on this plan?
The hydrant's at the easterly corner, less than 20 feet from our property.
Is Maxwell accessible from Culver or from Walnut?
It's only accessible from First Street, but from Culver, it's accessible. Walnut, you have to go around.
So go around to First.
You'd have to go around the block further to the north, or southwest, I guess it would be. But you can drive in Culver and go right around the block to Maxwell.
Right, okay.
And if you went on Walnut, you'd have to go a little bit further around the block.
Right, I'll go.
Unless I'm looking at this wrong, I'm looking at A6. It looks like the fire hydrant is across Easton Avenue.
It's on Eastern Avenue, but it's
It's on the Bacon property, right, where the Bacons live.
It's actually on Mr. Bacon's property.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it
My
is,
mistake.
the house is going to be basically over here.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question.
Okay.
All right, but if the fire department came down Maxwell, they wouldn't necessarily know that there was a hydrant on Easton.
They might.
Right.
They may well know where these hydrants are.
You said you need a hydrant on Maxwell, though, didn't you?
No, we don't need a hydrant on Maxwell. If a water line were constructed on Maxwell, it would be logical that there would be a hydrant. I just wanted to make note that we already have a fire protection hydrant at our property.
Didn't John House
Didn't John House say
say
that
you need a fire hydrant?
The reason John put in his report to put the hydrant was because the water department wanted the water line. So as Mr. Fisk pointed out, if you're going to put the water line in, you're going to put another hydrant in.
Right.
So they're kind of tied together.
Yeah, in our position, just to make the record very clear, is that we have a water line that fronts our property, which we can access. The reason that they want to extend the water line is basically so that they can probably loop the line, but there is no reason that we need that line to be
The line?
Yeah, to connect it to the existing line so that it ties back into the line on Easton Avenue.
Okay, I want to understand something. Since the hydrant and the requested water extension are connected, the requested water extension has really nothing to do with fire protection. The hydrant would just follow as an appendage, as it were.
Correct. And quite frankly, when the house was approved further away from the fire hydrant on the other side of Maxwell in 2005, it was reviewed and it was deemed that that fire hydrant on Easton Avenue was adequate to service that house, which is further away than the house that we're proposing.
How do you know that?
Because we had that application.
Okay.
Surprise!
Yeah, Mrs. Mattson built a house right across the street. So we went through this in 2005. No one requested that we extend the water line down in Maxwell in 2005. No one requested that we put a fire hydrant there in 2005. In 2005, the fire hydrant was on Easton Avenue, and it was satisfactory. Nothing has changed since 2005, except that there are certain people sitting at desks that were not necessarily there in 2005.
No need to get nasty.
No, I'm not getting nasty. I'm just saying that some of the people may have changed, but the circumstances have not changed.
So from Maxwell, you're going to tie into Easton?
We're going to tie into the water line from our property to
Next to Easton?
Easton Avenue.
It
Yeah.
fronts on Easton.
If our property fronts on Easton Avenue.
We're 5 feet away from the water main.
Oh, okay. Then why did he say you got to have one?
I actually sent him an email asking him that specific question, and he failed to respond to that email, for the record.
Doesn't make sense.
Okay, have we got any further questions by the board?
Pay any taxes, Peter? Second quarter?
Everything is current.
Anything else? Okay. Now to the public. Any questions? First questions? No?
I don't know honestly if I'm going to frame everything in a
No, if, you don't have to. Now you can make your comments. Whatever you want.
You just need to be sworn in first.
Yes, sir, if you'll raise your right hand for me, do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Your name and address, please.
James E. Bacon, my address is 213 Hazelwood Avenue, Middlesex Borough.
Could you bring the mic closer to your mouth?
I'm not sure if it's on, is it on?
It is.
Yes,
All
it
right.
is.
Sorry, 213 Hazelwood Avenue, Middlesex, New Jersey.
Oh.
I'm here as representative for my parents, Margaret and Donald Bacon. Donald Bacon, who's here today, and my mother, who could not make it today. If I may. I'm, once again, here as representative for Donald and Margaret Bacon. They reside at 1440 Easton Avenue. It's a property being discussed as the Bacon property here. It's otherwise known as Block 449.01, Lot 16. I was born and raised at that address, and although I moved over one town as an adult, I still call it home. In 1957, my father bought the property on Easton Avenue in that a rural section of Franklin Township. It's, back when Easton Avenue was a concrete pathway and not so trafficked as it is now. My father's lived there, and my mother, for 60 years, raised the 4 kids there. We're all basically very local still, although not residents of Franklin. My parents have remained in place successfully, happily so, in building relationship and trust with their neighbors. They've also been subject to the march of time and change. We lost a significant amount of our property on Easton Avenue when they widened the road to eminent domain, including a lot of old-growth trees. And we also had the impact from an oil pipeline that runs through that section of the neighborhood. Makes it kind of difficult to give up any more property or sell any more property in the spirit of development, further development. With regards to what's at issue tonight, we have had the opportunity to speak with the Matsons, and we are grateful for that. My father did represent that one of his major concerns was his privacy. That is, that he's lived, basically with screened trees and things like that between himself and the neighbors, pretty much all around them, and that's a major concern. But if I may elaborate on 5 issues that I think I could put forth tonight, and I think they might be addressed, or they could be addressed for us. One of our concerns is that the property in question, although it was 2 lots, and it's actually a pretty large lot, be only developed as one residential property, not further subdivided. As you can see, the house that's being proposed is kind of offset and leaves a large part of the property. We have spoke with the Matsons, and we're very satisfied that what they're putting forth in the plan is very much agreeable to us. Of course, we don't know the process, and if we're agreeing tonight that that's going to be a developable property, residential property, or simply if that's the plan itself is being approved, and that plan is basically what the variance is going to be about.
The plan is all that's being approved. If they wanted to come subdivide it, my guess is they wouldn't stand a chance. But in any event, that's not before us tonight.
Well, that's, in effect, what I'm saying is the plan that's being put before you tonight, is that what the variance is going to include? Is that what's going to be allowed?
That's it.
Exactly, yes.
That's, all right, well, that's, and that, in fact, because we've met with the Matsons, spoke with the Matsons, we're very satisfied with that. There is a concern with regard, the second concern would be in concerns with drainage. The lot they're improving, the lots they own, is the lowest part of the neighborhood. Improvements to that lot brings into question what happens to rainwater, floodwater, things of that nature. I know they've addressed what they have to, and they have to meet requirements by the Delaware River Canal. This is the first I'm hearing about a pit or any kind of pit being involved in the yard. And the concern would be this. My father resides with a well. He's been at his residence for 60 years. And what we're asking is that if there are improvements to the property, which there have to be as part of their plan, that take care of the fact that the rainwater is not going to back up and sit in 1440 Easton Avenue, that be accommodated. I don't know how to address that, if that's addressable by the plan. It's probably it's more engineering than anything else.
What do you got?
The property all drains to Easton Avenue. There will be no impact to any neighboring property whatsoever. The stormwater will be collected from the house into a proposed underground pit and released towards Easton Avenue. There will be no water directed or possibly going towards the vacant property or any other neighboring property.
The pit we speak of, that's what, in essence, a dry well?
Yes.
It's not basically one of those condo development collection areas?
It's almost certainly going to be an underground dry well with piping system and then just collecting the water from the house.
Obviously, you can understand my concern with that, with the well at the house. Once again, one of the obvious things that I want to address was the privacy. I'm satisfied with what the Matsons have put forth. If that's going to be the plan, obviously, I'm not expecting them to plant the trees according to that piece of paper that's in front of you today. They have expressed interest in being good neighbors, and that pretty much satisfies that.
We can put that as a condition of the approval.
I would like that to be a condition, and I think that they were all already agreeable to that, and they have stated as such, and I don't see that as being a problem for us, except that, once again, if we're approving a plan, let's approve that as part of the plan.
Yeah, and let me clarify. What we're expecting is, if it's approved, they're going to build exactly that, in terms of exactly that location, that house, in terms of the grading, the trees that are on there that are going to remain, they're going to remain, and to the degree that the board imposes some requirement that they put pines in between, those are going to have to be put on the plan, and during construction, that'll be part of the inspection to make sure they put every last tree in place.
And that's acceptable, and that's what I'm learning tonight. So part of this is a learning process for me, and I respectfully say that some of my questions may have been addressed already, but I want to make sure for myself, and so I can explain it to my father later. Obviously, then we're talking about, my fourth concern was that once a buildable lot be approved there, that in fact it is that buildable lot and not to be resold and revisiting these same questions down the road. You've basically answered that question for me. We're actually approving that plan tonight, and that's what this variance is going forth. And I'm satisfied again. As far as the setback, we talked about the setback from Maxwell. They were speaking of. We very much encourage that because that is actually what Maxwell has as far as setback from the road, and it does allow for more property in their backyard and between the structures. So I would actually go out and say we support that. And the last thing would be that if there are going to be changes, or if something drastic is going to change, we don't know as we sit here tonight what's going to happen tomorrow. You can't tell me you know what's going to happen tomorrow exactly, but that we be noticed that there's going to be some kind of change, that we get a notice that, hey, there's some kind of crisis, catastrophe, or something else, and the plan is now changed, so we can readdress it. Those are my concerns.
They will have to come back before the board.
And we'd be noticed, we'd be aware that they're coming back before the board. Once again, I'm not a lawyer or here representing myself as a lawyer. Other than that, I appreciate the Matsons spending the time they did with us, speaking with us. So, with that being said, we don't have any concerns as far as them going forward with the variance. Thank you.
A question for the applicant. In terms of this screen, what do you, and just so we know what to impose, what are you proposing in terms of where would it go? How big would they be? How many trees are we talking about?
It's my understanding that the applicant has agreed with the neighbor to place a screen between the existing shade trees along the rear of the applicant's property. Would be pine trees, probably about 12 in number.
Yeah, we'll try to get an exact number so that obviously it screens the house, and it'll be to your satisfaction, Mr. Healy, so that it will be somewhere between 10 and 12.
Okay, 10 and 12, about
To his set
5 to
of-
6 feet in height. In terms of location, it's going to go basically between the two houses.
It's going to be on our side of on our property line, between the two houses and even down towards Easton Avenue.
Well, let's just say between the two houses, 5 to 6 feet high.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Do you want to add anything, or shall we just entertain a?
Oh, please, let's not sum up. I think we're in good shape here.
No, I think he summed up for me, so I think I will rest.
Right. Let's not steal defeat from the jaws of victory.
Okay. Any discussion or motion?
Yeah, you got that? All right, yeah. I move that we grant Mattson Construction Company variances to build a dwelling at 10 Maxwell Lane, Somerset. Those variances include a front setback variance of 25 rather than 35 feet, an area variance, and also a frontage variance on the side of the house. So 21,752 proposed lot area, lot frontage, 120.36 on the side on Maxwell, front yard setback, 25 feet rather than 35 feet. The variances are subject to the following requirements. There shall be a screen of evergreen trees planted between the variances, the house that the Mattsons are constructing at the rear of the Mattsons' yard and the adjoining property. And the house that will be built will be in the same location and will be the same house that's shown on the plans that were submitted as part of this application.
There were also a couple of waiver recommendations.
Oh, yes. We would recommend to the engineering department that the Mattsons not be required to put in the sidewalk and the curbing, and that they not be required to extend the water main or install the fire hydrant.
Second?
Second. Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Mr. Gala?
Yes.
Chair Graham?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Do I have a motion to
Moved.
adjourn?
There will be no meeting in 2 weeks.
Oh,
Righty then.
Yeah, the 2 of the 3 matters have kicked, and the other one is small, they can wait, so. See you in a month.
This is yours.